Good day, Tamers. Market Watch on a Sunday, the Lord's Day, no gambling. Really going to go through a couple of the sets here as you might see some things are shifting, and then we'll go through some normal Market Watches. As BT13 has dropped this weekend, this has been recorded Saturday morning very earliest. You guys probably see this Sunday, so I do apologise, it's been a bit late. I wanted to shift some stuff out because I'm going to be busy this weekend because of birthday stuff. A lot of your favourite YouTubers actually have birthdays like this week. So if you notice that there's some like weird card game stuff going on where a lot of us have disappeared for the weekend because we're all like 33 going to 34 this year, and it's all our birthday this weekend. So all of your market watchers are generally like born in July because cancer must watch the market for terrible acquisitions. But let's get into this X Record, a very fun set. For a lot of people, introduce most of the X Antibody stuff. If you like X Antibody, it's a great set. If you hate X Antibody, it's a great set. It's just annoying people. Defex isn't really doing much at the moment. I just thought I'd show you guys this. It's not this big has to break boards card like it used to be anymore. They're still effective. They are still around like one-offs in certain decks, but specifically, you know, this is no longer that like £90 card that it was for a very long time, and this is no longer that £50 card that it was for a long time. Yeah, I've settled back down to sort of the price that they were on pre-release. You know, so it's been a while. Agumon again is just staying around this £30 to £35 mark because it doesn't really shift because you never really see any on here. People always want the best bang for their buck. I understand that, but I've got a lot of people remember, like, if this ever gets a reprint, it'll just tank this value. So, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So you got to be careful. Alphamon Oroken, it does have a listing here of 23, but if you go into it, which we'll go into a bit later, you do notice that the market price is actually a lot lower than they say they are. Wargreymon X, a lot of people don't like the fact that Wargreymon X Red has this as its only option card to go into an X Antibody. It's not specifically amazing. Gaining memory is always cool, but it's not like you spend one to go into Wargreymon X and then like have to like gain back all this memory. It makes more sense going from like Metal Greymon X Antibody into this. So obviously you go up, you get like Security Check +2, you gain 2 memory back. You spend 4 memory to go into it. Hopefully you can come back onto your turn, then you can swing out with Omnimon for game. But that's kind of how this deck plays around itself, and I guess that's what it is. But yeah, a lot of people are in this situation of like they don't like all X being the end state of a Digimon, especially in some of the newer cards. Gao has come down in price. It was going up to like the 35 at one point. Now it's come back down again. I think a lot of people realise that the Gao deck currently isn't where it needs to be. But it's good and it's fun. I like to play against it a few times, and it's you know, it does some stuff. It does work. Gabumon X, this is obviously just a buyout sort of thing now because people are interested in playing Metal Groomon Blue Apple. Yeah, Blue Apple. This card was like going to £8 to £9 for a long time, and now it's obviously shot up to 20. If you get these for trades, you know, look at some good values if you can, because these can be really good, especially if you start figuring out what the rest of the deck does. In BT15. So look at these, grab them where you can. They're going to be fantastic cards for a very long time to come. Jelly starting to go up in price again. It was around about the 12 to 15. Now it's going up to like the £20. This is because obviously we're getting more support in RB. We've just seen that there's an LB set coming out, which is something that we might get next year as another side set. There's more support coming in BT13, so people just want max rarity stuff to make it look nice. Ordine has kind of been sitting around this price for a long time, basically since EU finals. We're having a new alt art that you may have seen in yesterday's video, so this could drop the price of this, or you could push it up higher because people want like the medium rarity, which could be like the Sword Championship one. Magna X hasn't been doing much of anything; it's been dropping in price quite quickly. There is more Magna Mons coming in BT13, so you can basically play like a Magnamon deck with this. It's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world, but obviously you've got things to do. Galamon X, this at one point was like a £35 card. It dropped down steadily. It's not necessarily something you need in the decks these days, especially when you can just drop a rushing Galamon into a Crimson mode, which is pretty cool. Although, fun fact, it doesn't give the Crimson mode rush, so you have to do it from the Gilmon. Alpha, people play these at 2 offs normally in the current deck, so you can see 2 of these and then 2 of the alt arts maybe for the BT13 ones. Both are very good at what they do. One basically says, you can't touch me. This one just says, you don't want to touch me. Oroken, this is basically been the same price for a while. I think a lot of people have given up on Alphamon, despite the fact the deck looks to be pretty good still. Merciful Mode, we've just seen that we're getting Store Championship. I expect this to be pushed down even more. Mycoon seems to be the price forever. No one seems to be getting rid of it. And then this Metal Greymon X is starting to just drop in price due to the fact that we are, seeing the new X antibody. Both are still very good. The other one is just very, very good. And then everything else is just, par for the course. Grandis is going down because no one plays it anymore because the deck's kind of dead. Regul, no one really plays it because it's not a fantastic card. And then you come to your first X antibodies at 1/2, and it's not so bad. Galamon, though, having some value still in the set, which is pretty cool. And then Grade Alt Art still being terrible. We had a quick look at across time. Besides these two, which are obviously special cards, the price of these is very cheap. Shine has retracted its last price, which last time I saw was like £48, which was ridiculously worth it if you'd sell it for that price. But since then, they've come back down in price to 32. Marcus's, we've obviously been hit on Ultimate Cup, means it's something on the radar they want to keep an eye on. So I think people are being a bit careful with what they're charging for this because they want to sell them, which makes sense to me. You want people to sort of pick up something and not worry about it too much. Quartz is sort of sitting around this mark here. You don't need to go into Quartz anymore in new board states. A lot of people looking at Rosemont Burst Mode. Very similar effect to this. Obviously, you get to swing out for every 2 things that are suspended. Trash security, same thing. This is more of like a starter game, keep things suspended. The other thing is more like you just push things and go. Beelzebub X antibody continues to fall because the deck has basically lost its legs. Just doesn't get to go fast anymore. It's not the fast deck in the format anymore. It's now has to play control, which unfortunately it doesn't have enough options to be controlly with. Ties, I would start picking up ties if I was you guys. Lots of War Greymon stuff coming in the next couple of sets. Now that we get the box toppers early, obviously you can play this in Ultimate Cup in the black only sort of side. When we get the structure deck, it's not so bad to play the black only, but for now it is kind of that awkward middle ground of like you kind of still want to do red base. War Greymon, I would consider picking up some of the normal ones if you want to play this. It's a good side of card, so you want to do like Ace as your main and then this as your side, because Ace you can put on the field and you can basically say you ignore me. Go up into your Ace and go, hey look, I'm going to suspend up and start blocking things again. This War Greymon just says, hey, I'm going to build up in security, I'm going to build up in the breeding area, and then I'm going to wait for you to do something, and I'm going to come and pop you twice, because it's a very mean card. Emperor's starting to go down in price. I don't really know why. Red Hybrid seems to have fallen off for some reason, but it's not doing worse. Galamon's just getting cheaper in price because even though the raid version is very good and it's very specific, it's going to be very specific in the future. The Rush one is going to be seeing more play for now because obviously if you're playing the milling version, you're going to mill your opponent out, they get like 30 trash, you go, okay, then this costs me like 2 to put down, I'll start rushing you with Galamons at 13k. They're big boys. And then all the other alt arts are essentially just getting cheaper and cheaper. Despite the fact that Hunters is still good because of the Ultimate Cup format being the biggest format we have currently still, it's getting cheaper and cheaper because you can't play the format. Fighter mode starting to see a little bit of rise in price, despite the fact that the deck hasn't done anything as far as I'm aware. Thai, I don't really know if this is doing anything. I've seen they won something in France, I believe, but I think that's like the offshoot for the regional. But Shine Grey standards are still like the £9 to like £15 mark, so you are still getting the prices on these, and then you are looking at then the secret rares. Cheap. Davis is super cheap. The biggest issue with the Imperial deck instead is the fact you can't play Tamers for free, which is really awkward because half the deck revolves around you want to have your Tamers on the field so you can start doing shenanigans. Then Secret again, because it doesn't play in Ultimate Cup, which is the biggest one that we have here, Hunters isn't really doing much currently. And then All Force is like 1 or 2 of in the deck, so super cheap, and the fact that arenas are so expensive, we kind of push the price down of everything else. And everything else in this set is not really value. The video now is currently at the whole beautiful 9-minute mark, and we haven't even started yet, so I do apologise. So, Yuya from BT11. Because War Greymon's going to be quite popular for a little bit longer, I do recommend picking up some of these if you're interested in the deck while they're still somewhat cheap and going down in price. I don't know how long they're going to be going down for. You've got to remember the mechanics that we have in the game where you can play a EX1 Greymon into a raid Metal Greymon, swings, changes its direction on the swing. You can then play a tie, and then you can then digivolve into the ET11 Metal X, which then will give you protection if this is on the field because you play this from the raid effect, and then because you digivolved up, you gain DP and you also gain protection from option cards. You can't, and you also can't be digivolved and you can't have your DP reduced. So, win-win if you're a Greymon player right now. I would also recommend the ties. Yeah, grab the ties where you can. Again, they are starting to go a bit more expensive now. I don't think these have really had a cheap price. Yeah, I think this is as cheap as it's going to be, and probably going to be for a while. So I do recommend getting yours where you can. It's a very good card, and it's going to be very good for a while longer, and it's just very generic in any Greymon deck. Or Fanimon Fauna Mode is the most expensive card from BT8. If you are getting some of those deals currently, some shops are selling out the last stock. Keep an eye on them. I know it's a risky business move to try and pull a 1 of 18 alternate art card. There are a few alternate arts in the set that are worth like half a box price, and this is currently sitting around the £35 mark. Now, as you can see, there are quite a few up here on the market, but they're only going up and not coming down, and to be fair, it's a beautiful card and it works very well. And it also will start working in the lovely Patmon deck, as it's a vaccine. Cool boys. Cool boys are pretty cool. Just seen that we're going to get the gold cool boy in wave 2 of the Store Championship. These are still holding out though at like the £3 to £4 mark. It's a very good card, and you generally want to play set per deck that plays them. Same again with the cool boy. Event pack, he's starting to come down in price though. I don't know if this is because someone may have got a tip off earlier about having access to the gold one, or if people just want to get rid of them. But again, these are like 9 to 10, and then going up easily into like the 20s. So, gold might be the answer, but probably not. And then the releases are sitting around the 9 to 7. But yeah, they're sort of catching up quite quickly into the price of the EP4 ones. Down to you if you want something like that. But personally speaking, I'm going to wait for the gold to upgrade. Gold, people, gold. Venusmon has seen a massive buyout, and if you don't know why, then let me tell you some fun times. Yeah, no, I wasn't going to pay one for 25, I'm going to pay one for 52. This is now used in a beautiful, beautiful vaccine deck with Patamon in it from BT14, and you go from Patamon into this for a cost of 1, I believe. Raid is going to have a lot of fun, because it's going to start punching people very hard in the back of the head. And I think people need to figure out that it's going to be fun for people who don't want to get punched in the back of the head. Standard Venusmon, those are still super cheap, so if you are in the market to play Venusmon, I would recommend picking yours up sooner than later. The only issue is a lot of people are selling one-off, so you're going to be paying probably like £5 with postage. So if you can get something like this, even though it might be more expensive on the front end, postage will save you on the long run. Jesmon GX, because it's a Royal Knight set that's coming out now, Jesmon GX is probably going to start seeing more spikes in price. It is starting to come down a little bit, as it has been lately, but at the same time, just keep an eye on it, because you want to play this in a deck that says Royal Knights, because hey, if everyone underneath it, you gain a Security Attack +1, you get Blocker, you get Piercing, you're already blitzing, so you know, remove everything and then just sit there and go like, if I can last one more turn, do a thing. And then just the alternate art, and not really much more expensive, although you know a lot of these here would not sell to the UK. If you're in Europe, you get a bit of a better deal, but you are probably looking around like the £30 essentially for a alternate art, although the alternate art is very shiny. Then we're looking at Canweismon. This has started to go back up in price again. Last time I looked at this, it was like around about the £9 to £10 mark. That's come back up in price because, again, support's going out for this, same with the Jellymon. So for those of you who want to play this deck, keep an eye on it. I wouldn't necessarily go and buy this right now, because if you don't care for like maximum full rarity and you want just something a bit more shiny, we are getting these promos very soon. As you can see, people have already got these up for sale. Apparently someone's already got their hands on these. So yeah, if you want somewhere like mid-rarity, these are generally quite nice. They've got the fingerprint texture to them, so it's a consideration. Probably what I'm going to go for. The Alpha ones that we did talk about earlier, essentially the prices are sort of starting to go back up again. They have come down a little bit, but they are going to go back up again because people want to play these in the new Alpha deck. The new Alpha deck is fairly good. It's very similar to the old Alphamon deck, just not as egregious. Hello? Alphamon Hurricane modes, the standard versions are still quite cheap. If you are looking to get yourself a playset, one person has a playset of 4, you want a playset of 3, and then you are looking essentially this. Remember, you're probably going to be adding £2 postage, so you know 15, 16, 19/20, 20, 21, 21. But here, if you're going to buy like multiple, you do save yourself the postage costs. And then you go look at the altar. I think what I said earlier, like it does say that like the prices are up here, but in reality they are down to 17, they are 22, they are 22, they are 23. You're not really looking for a massive spike in price on these. If you prefer this art and you don't mind spending the extra couple of quid, throw yourself at this. Personally speaking, I actually like the defensive style, because the I Am He-Man one doesn't really do much for me. The Alphamon from BT 10? 10? Yeah, 10. just constantly dropping in price because no one plays it. It's a nice card, but if you see these for 200, maybe pick one up for a collection piece, but don't don't use it for a deck. Omnimon, Merciful Mode, I think we will spoke about this in the X record, it's just going to go down in price. I feel like it's happily squared off here at 15, but they ain't selling. The gold's coming out soon. It's the same front artwork, it's just gold background. Whatever you prefer is going to be the case. I presume the gold's going to be a bit cheaper, and this will drop the price of this one, and you're just going to have issues. Maybe you can get some trades for one earlier than later. Not so bad. And then the Omnimon X Antibody. Personally speaking, I like the other art. I think the other art has this like cool, it's all shoulders. He looks menacing. He's he's all square. This is a bit more fluid and skinny boy. But there's still quite a few articles on here to grab from. They've been around 15 for a while. I don't think they're going to drop any soon, and I don't really think they're going to get bought out in a massive fashion. Again, the RAX Antibody in a Royal Knight deck, you could just obviously chuck this onto an Omnimon. But at the same time, I don't really think it's worth it in retrospect. You don't play X Antibody in that deck. You're going to swing with Omnimon, Digivolve into this, pop a security and win games. You know what I mean? The decks generally, if you got the point where everything's been played, you just swing with that game and win that turn. Yeah, it's Market Watch. Royal Knight stuff is slightly going up. Stuff for future formats, which is generally what you need to keep an eye on if you are playing the game competitively. Starting to go out of stock, as you saw with the Venusmon. But then everything else is generally par for the course. So yeah, just keep an eye on your tamers, especially ones that you want to play in the future, especially ones that are going to be good with good support later, and essentially just keep an eye on what's going on in the market. We'll see you guys soon for more random news, and you guys have a great weekend, and see you Monday. Mwah. Peace out.